Hey everyone, haven't done a disclaimer in a while, but this episode, Ralph's cord was a little messed up in just the beginning. Not the whole episode, but just the beginning. The cord was a little messed up, and Jeff and I didn't say anything for a little bit. So the first part sounds a little sketchy on Ralph's end, but he's listenable. Like, he says a lot of cool things, and I encourage you to stick around. But if you want to skip it, there is a timestamp to get to the movie section where all the audio sounds clear and good again. Just wanted to give a quick disclaimer, and also, like, we cut around a little bit in the intro because of this issue. So if you're wondering why we kind of like jump conversations, at one point he just starts talking about LA, and that's because I asked him about LA, and just roll with it. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. It's a good one. Bye. Hello. Welcome to the 161st episode of the Carscast Moviecast. Today we have a very special guest, someone who I've been trying to get on the podcast for a while and just finally went for it. Big inspiration to me and probably a bunch of other people on film YouTube. Ralph Sepe.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you too. Because
Yeah.
I was out with a friend of mine, and they mentioned you, like, in passing, and then you texted me the day after on Twitter or whatever.
That's
You
so.
messaged me.
What a
It's
coincidence.
so weird.
Yeah.
It's because you're like popular. Which is
Yeah.
good.
Do you ever find it hard to balance like your YouTube work with like your filmmaking side? Because I feel like a lot of the time I'm like, yeah, I like am pursuing filmmaking, but doing YouTube on the side, and it's like what do you tell people you do usually when?
Yeah. What do I know? I don't know. I just really enjoy. I really enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always say. Just like it's something. It keeps me. I'm driven by making films and by
Mhm.
films in general. Which
Yeah.
is, I think, why I made a channel also to talk about films.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just like out of. I needed something to do, right?
Yeah,
With my
yeah.
free time. That's usually how it starts. It's like something you do
Totally.
for fun. But then people gravitate toward it, and yeah, you build like a community. Like, I'm glad you connect with my stuff. That's good. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I want. Because
Totally.
then you build a little community of people who like a certain kind of movie or can talk about a certain kind of movie.
Yeah.
Which, you know, don't take that for granted because it's not always there
Yeah.
for every film. You know, I built, or like I realized, like I made like this little community where I could just share like these are my favorite movies of the year. These are the kind of movies I like.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Obviously, I shit on a lot of movies too, but even when I shit on a lot of movies, I mention tons of good movies in it. In my Gotti review, I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Goodfellas and Godfather, and like
Yeah.
good movie, Donnie Brasco, and you know, Boardwalk Empire, which is a TV show, The Sopranos, which is a TV show.
Yeah.
Mentioning good things. People know these things. If you haven't seen these things, if you watch them, you would like them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to, like, I don't know, add to the conversation more so.
Totally.
And then also, yeah, balancing it with my films is difficult too, because it's like, how do you not fall into the traps of like the bad movies you talked about, or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just so many things that could go wrong in that respect. And I don't know, I just don't, I have a real passion for it. I feel like I feel I'm really smart. Like, I really take my time with projects. Like, I know people are gonna watch it. I don't like fuck around. Like,
Yeah.
I take my movies seriously, even though they're funny. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kid Candy's really funny, but I was really serious when I made that movie. I was like
Mhm.
17 years old.
Yeah.
Doing YouTube also, and I submitted that to a festival. Like, I put it on YouTube and I submitted to a festival. I did that with the movie I did before, also The High, and it got in, which is good. But people already seen it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really a common thing either. Usually festivals want you to premiere your movie there.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least what I saw. Maybe it's different now because that was a while ago.
Yeah.
They usually want you to
It's-
premiere your movie at the festival. But
Yeah,
they
it's
didn't.
pretty much the same. That's why Karsten, no one's seen Dirtbag, and everyone
Yeah.
asks him
Yeah,
constantly,
right.
where's
They're like,
Dirtbag?
oh, I want to see it. It's like
Yeah.
the festivals don't want you to do that.
Right. And that's
But I did it anyway because, you know, I was like 16 or
Right.
whatever. I didn't know. And
Well-
they didn't care either. Like, I actually think it was good for my films anyway because the audience online had seen it or they wanted to see it. And
Mhm.
they kind of came out to see it in theaters, like, which is
See,
cool. You know,
that's the thing is
people go see a movie in theaters even if they've seen it already because they like it. They think it's good. They want to support the artist, or that's why they re-release old movies like in theaters. People see it anyway. Like it's Blade Runner's like an old movie, but people love it. They'll go see it.
Yeah. Like I feel like if you're on YouTube and you have an audience, I've kind of realized that like I just made my own short film and am doing like the festival run with it, and I'm like, I feel like it at the end of the day is just more beneficial to just drop it on YouTube or Vimeo or something instead of like doing this, like, because the whole point of like festival runs usually is like to get it in front of like people's eyes and like, you know, spread the, like network or whatever
a good reputation for your movie.
But I'm like, I guess if you already have that, you know, it's
it
might as well
make
just put
more
it on
sense
the
to
list.
drop
Yeah,
it when there's so much hype around it already.
Yeah.
And it's like by the time you're allowed to release it, a lot of that's kind of gone down because you've talked about it like with your audience.
Yeah.
That's true.
On a similar note, I feel like something I've kind of realized is, especially with like making short films and making my own work as a film critic, like people kind of go into it like, this guy will like shit on my favorite movie or like talk about like whatever as if like he knows everything, and then he like puts out a short film and they feel like, you know, I feel like there's a lot more pressure going into it.
I feel like there's such a difference between the movies like you make and then like the movies that are like released in theaters that cost tens of millions of dollars. Like, you know, when you're criticizing like something like that, it's like it's just a different thing.
Yeah.
It means something different. Like I don't think like filmmakers like of those big movies really care.
Yeah, they're not
impacts them in the same way like it does an indie artist. Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like when you make stuff, like the fact that you're kind of, because especially like King Candy and stuff, like you're still very young and you're still like learning how to make movies, and I'm sure you improve each time. Like, does it feel weird to learn in front of such a big audience? Because
it wasn't such a big audience when I made those movies, but it's like someone learning to make a movie like as they make the movie, but in a way that was like genuinely interesting to watch. Like the postmodern collage of all these like movies, like it's like Goodfellas but it's set in high school. It's like got like kids, and it's like all these other movies too, Brick, and like, and it's like it was very interesting because I think that's like a lot of what I like in a movie. You want someone who doesn't think the same way that like the industry does, because the industry's kind of boring. You want someone, you know, like my favorite movie this year is Everything All at Once, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because it's not a conventional film at all. It's very out there. It's like, it takes a lot of chances, and that's why it works. It's very interesting to watch, and a lot of movies are just kind of boring.
Absolutely.
And that's why I don't like. It's hard to make a good movie. Like it's hard to have like an original idea that like I really want to tell this story. Like this is an idea worth telling. That, like you said, that struggle of like also making YouTube videos at the same time. It's stressful.
It's weird.
Stressful. But it that's what breeds like creativity also.
Totally.
Like, that's always what I say. So
I think
it's stressed out. I always say I have a good support system in my life too. Like no matter how much stress I'm under, like I have a good family that loves me or whatever. Like I have a mom and my brother and my dad, like my dog. I have people like who care about me, take care of me in my life. So like even if work gets stressful and writing, like all this stuff, like I have a strong support system. So I'm like a very healthy person, you know.
Totally.
Ultimately. Yeah. And that's the most important. Like that's really what you need to be, is healthy and live a happy life, because then you can't create anything worthwhile at all.
Absolutely.
You can't write, you can't do anything. It's not about like what you're writing. It's about like your state of mind and how healthy you are.
I mean, I think that some people have the opposite viewpoint, where they think that creativity is from like being a starving artist and like struggling constantly,
and being depressed and being nihilistic and being but like those great artists, they've experienced those things, but they're able to, because they're kind of past those bad parts in their life, they could communicate it clearly to an audience. Like, but you need to be, you know, healthy and happy to do that. Or not happy, but you need to have a good state of mind.
Totally. Definitely to make it sustainable.
Absolutely.
To make movies every 2 years or whatever, like Wes Anderson or Chris Nolan. So what were we talking about? I'm sorry about my.
No,
my
it was
cable.
I was asking about LA and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just
It's fine,
weird.
LA. I mean,
yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
And New York is cool. There's a lot of good film, like culture. I feel in New York and Brooklyn
Yeah.
and Queens. Mhm.
Totally.
A lot of good festivals. Tribeca
Yeah.
was it's happening now. Tribeca Film
Yeah.
Festival,
Yeah.
which is cool. Yeah.
I just feel like in general New York supports like the independent film scene way more than LA. LA is very like kind of studio, and LA has a great film scene as
Yeah.
is, don't get me wrong, but like New York is just so like active right now.
right.
I feel like, you know?
Yeah, like the theaters there, or like even if there's like certain cities, Austin,
Yeah.
Texas is really good.
Mhm.
They have South by
Yeah.
Southwest there, and they
Yeah.
have that great theater chain. I'm gonna remember the name of it. But
Yeah.
Alamo Draft House.
Alamo Draft House.
Yep,
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I just went to like IFC Center last week in the city, where they play great movies there all the time. There's that
Yeah.
one Mad God I want to see. It was sold
It's
out last
so-
time I was in the city. I was like,
So great.
shit.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it. But I saw other stuff. I saw Vortex there.
Mhm.
Again, I saw it in New York Film Festival, but I had to leave.
Mhm.
So I didn't watch the whole thing. It's a long movie. Vortex, Gasper Noé.
Long and like mentally draining.
It's
like
a mentally
just
draining movie. Yeah,
not
it's
a
really
fun
hard
movie to
watch.
watch.
Great date movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good as Climax or
Well,
stuff.
I love Climax. That movie's awesome.
it's one of the
That
best.
is sick. It's like brutal. I love movies like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
brutal.
avoided seeing that based on Karsten's comments.
It's not for everybody, and that's why I don't go like go see it because I'm like
Gasper
some
Noé movies are like so
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
they're like disturbing. Sure,
Yeah.
it can be hard to
The
watch.
fact that your main, adjectives are disturbing and brutal,
not.
I think that says a lot.
but it's like
Well-
very well made.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of disturbing, kind of brutal movies, I feel like we should talk about the movie today, which is Crimes of the Future, directed by David Cronenberg. It's his latest. Yeah, let me just read the synopsis real quick, and then we can get into it. As the human species adopts to a synthetic environment, the body undergoes new transformations and mutations. Accompanied by his partner, celebrity performance artist Saul Tenser, showcases the metamorphosis of his organs. Meanwhile, a mysterious group tries to use Saul's notoriety to shed light on the next phase of human evolution, which is... This is a fun synopsis because I feel like you might get that from watching the movie, and you might not.
Yeah.
It's a very weird, kind of hard to put together movie, but it's really interesting. And I mean, Ralph, are you a big Cronenberg fan? I mean,
Yeah, his movies are
Yeah.
really good. He's another
Yeah.
director I love. History
Yeah.
of Violence. That's a really good movie. That's also Viggo Mortensen, right?
yeah,
He's also in that. And then of The Fly, of course.
yeah,
Great classic film. Jeff
Mhm.
Goldblum.
yeah.
Great effects. Yeah.
I've been kind of catching up with his. I've never really watched a lot of David Cronenberg movies, and in light of this film coming out, I've kind of slowly been catching up. And I watched Videodrome, and that movie
Yeah.
is wild. It's such a crazy movie.
All of his movies are. They're all really crazy, yeah.
Yeah,
Like The Fly has really great creature effects in it. I think of that and, John Carpenter's The Thing as two movies that come to my mind, like the best special effects
best.
probably I've ever seen. And like
Yeah.
The end of that movie is so gruesome, The Fly.
Oh.
I've never seen anything like that. Like, that is sick. That is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's like really cool to see a David Cronenberg movie in like 2022 in where it's like this kind of like practical effects with like real physical like body horror. It seems just like not
Yeah.
very like it's a rarity, and I don't know. It was interesting as is just to see that kind of movie now,
Right.
and like have it not be kind of dated the way. I mean, his other movies aren't dated, but they're clearly like of the 80s, and this is just like a very modern movie. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks really great in my opinion.
Well, even like Naked Lunch. Yeah. That movie has a lot
yeah.
of good effects in it. And yeah. All practical. stuff.
Yeah.
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 Good film.
So Jeff's
Yeah.
what's going on?
What are your thoughts, Jeff?
So I am not a fan of body horror.
Yeah.
Just it's not something that my brain reacts well to. So this was an interesting watch for me. Same with Titan, where Carson made me watch that as well. And I will say this was less, and also raw. But this was of those 3 body horror films I've watched for this podcast, was the least vomit-inducing.
Yeah. I would say so. This is like there's no scenes that make you kind of like skeeved out. It's just like looking at a lot of organs and bodily functions.
I was expecting more of that.
I was
Yeah,
too.
that's the thing. I was surprised that it was as tame as it was.
Yeah, it felt kind of tame. There were no moments where I was like, oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, there's some good effects in it, like when the guy's eyes were sewn shut. Like
That's
that was
great
good.
scene.
Oh, that looked
Yeah.
good. There's good effects in it, definitely.
Yeah.
It was lacking like a really. I feel like it was kind of forgettable in that respect, at least.
Definitely. I mean, that's the big thing is like I saw the trailer and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a crazy movie. And kind of all the crazy things that happen in the movie happen in the trailer.
Right.
And a good portion of it is more like world building and telling this story of like this kind of theoretical future that we would be living in, where it doesn't really, like, our bodies are used in a different way. And I think that stuff is like, it's kind of like a lot of David Cronenberg movies to me, where I'm like, this is a really cool idea and he's saying a lot of interesting things. I don't know how well he's communicating that. And I think this movie kind of, this and Scanners, I recently watched Scanners and I kind of had the same experience there. I was like, cool idea.
Scanners
Don't know if I'm there.
Right.
That's the movie where the guy's head blows up. Scanners.
Yeah.
So at least has like that part. That was like, wow, that was awesome. His head blew up. But this is nothing really. Like you said, everything's in the trailer. All the disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
The marketing people were really pushing it, and then you see the movie. It's like, okay, it's a lot of dialogue, a lot of people talking, and it was very hard to understand what was happening because did the movie really have a structure or like a plot? Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of just following Viggo Mortensen around, and he's like,
like a
dry
Sith Lord.
heaving and trying to figure out his life. And
I was like, what is going on? Is he like trying to eat or something?
He's like, I keep growing new organs. I got to get rid of these.
Yeah.
I'm
It
just
kind of-
kidding, yeah. I knew what was going on. People are gonna say I'm like stupid. Like I didn't get the movie. I got it. It's just
Oh no.
it needed more of like a structure. Like I like Men a little more. The movie Men by Alex Garland. I thought that was
like
a good
Men more.
film.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good film because it just, I don't know, it was very clear what was going on the whole time. And even thematically, I'm like, okay, so it's about some kind of allegory about like toxic masculinity or like whatever. Her relationship is awful. Yeah. And this is just, it was so all over the place. Like it wasn't clear what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this won me over just purely based off its world building. Like, I really loved the world he created. I liked the way the characters just crouch a lot and just have meetings in like these abandoned junkyards. And I think that was enough to keep me like interested. And by the end of it, I was really shocked when it ended. I'll say that. Like, I was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of waiting for that, like, kind of Cronenberg ending where everything just kind of collapses in on itself and there's a crazy body exploding. But, like, this doesn't really have that. And I think it was interesting. But I kind of had the same feeling. I was like, I'm slightly underwhelmed and a little confused on what the takeaway is supposed to be here.
Yeah. I also was just really confused by, like, the genetic plot, like through line of saying that, you know, you replace organs and then somehow these are passed to your children. It's like I just thought it was funny because I actually have a degree in anthropology, so I had to learn about all of the theories, before like modern evolutionary theory. And there was this one that it made me think of, where it's this guy Lamarck, who was this French guy, and he theorized that giraffes' necks were long because while like they stretch their necks to reach tall trees for leaves, and when the act of them stretching throughout their lives passed the long neck trait onto their like children.
Yeah.
So it's just like such a
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's a ridiculous like theory where it's like,
make a movie
you
about
replace
that.
your organs and then now your kids have those organs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Well,
weird.
that's I've been listening to like interviews of him kind of talking about the movie and explaining like what his initial intent was, and like a big thing is the idea that one day we'll survive on plastics, and like humans react to plastics more than people think, and this is kind of saying like maybe in the future like we don't need to worry about what our bodies can and can't handle as much, and like the whole surgery is the new sex thing. And I'm like, that's an awesome idea. I wish it made for a cooler story than what it turned into.
Right. It just feels
Yeah.
so kind of disjointed. And
Yeah.
you're right. His world building is really good in all of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Cronenberg is really good at that. Even Naked
Yeah.
Lunch, very good. Like, is this guy crazy, or is this world just populated
Yeah.
by like bugs and like whatever? Like,
Yeah.
is he on drugs? Like, it doesn't like it's so much more interesting to think about to me than like this world. And I thought Viggo Mortensen was good.
Yeah, he was great.
But Kristen Stewart, I don't know how you felt about her.
I know
She gave an
people-
interesting performance, to say
Yeah.
the least.
The people I saw it with, we came out and we were all kind of like, well, what do we think of Kristen Stewart? And it was like half the people were like, absolutely not. Like, she was awful.
Yeah.
And like, there are other people, I think I was in this other person group. I was like, I thought she was interesting. I'm kind of like, yeah, it was an interesting performance. I totally see if you don't like it and like it takes you out of it, because it did almost take me out of it, just the way she enunciates like everything.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, it adds to the weirdness of this world.
It's a weird performance, but the whole film is weird. So
It's very weird.
it
Yeah.
didn't really feel out of place necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Yeah.
the weird performance has to line up with like the same plane of weirdness that the movie is.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like a weird puzzle.
Which is kind of what Viggo Mortensen did.
Yeah.
I really liked him in the movie. I'll say that. Like, he was without a doubt one of my favorite parts. Just the coughing up and like groaning and just never being okay during this movie. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, that was. The practical effects were good. And yeah, it's just hard to get anything out of it. Aside from like random kind of like, oh, I like this part.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I like
Totally.
the ear guy.
Yeah. I don't. Do you know if this is Viggo Mortensen's follow-up to Green Book? Because I was thinking about that, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
if this is his next movie, that would be so funny. Because pretty crazy career choice. But yeah, I don't know. I liked the movie.
I liked it too. Had a $3 million budget. Looked really good for that. I'll
Yeah,
say.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was in the Cannes festival.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look up if it was like based on. Was it like based on something like is this a remake of?
I know David Cronenberg had a movie in the 90s called Crimes of the Future. And it was like an hour long. I haven't seen it. I heard it's not very good. And everyone's like, well, I'm glad he got to remake this title.
It's actually the title of a film of his from 1970.
Okay, not the 90s. All right.
It was in 1970 that David Cronenberg gave us Crimes of the Future. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not a remake, which is
Not-
okay. That's just a ridiculous concept for someone to make
Same
a
title.
film with the same title as one of their films from 50 years ago, but has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
It's
like, I
a
really
really
like that
different
title.
story. Mm-hmm.
I also heard that he wrote the script for this movie in the 90s, which is probably where I got the 90s thing from. But he wrote the script for this all the way then and was like, oh, like, maybe I'll make this, maybe I won't. And
Yeah.
then, like, with I know a lot of like, there's been a lot of talk of like microplastics making its way into our bodies and stuff. And he was like, well, now's a good time to.
This film was supposed to star Nick Cage.
Was it actually?
Yes.
Is that confirmed?
Yes.
Wow,
That's
that
what
would
it
have
says.
been interesting. I kind of like Viggo Mortensen better in this part.
Yeah.
But
What
it would have
did-
been like 2003 Nick Cage.
Totally. What do you think of like the recent? I know you did a video on it, Ralph. I think like Nick Cage. What do you think of some of his recent movies? I feel like he's
saw
kind of
the
had a good
film-
few years.
I got the film Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Yeah.
That one has Sophia Boutella also.
Yep.
And Nick Cage.
I've been meaning to watch that.
I don't think Sophia Boutella, like, I feel like she barely had dialogue in it.
Okay.
She was better in Climax. The
Yeah.
movie was very weird. It's like Nick Cage is in
Yeah.
a dream or something, and he has to like escape. And there's this giant set with like 150 extras on it, and some, like it's crazy shit. I'm like, this is like nuts. Like this is not just like a bad movie. Like
That sounds awesome.
it's so weird. I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I can't
really-
even describe it. It's such an odd film.
Yeah.
Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Interesting. Okay.
He at least tries Nick Cage, as opposed to, well, what happened with Bruce Willis is sad. Like that, he actually has some kind of like mental issue. Like he needed to retire. I'm like, yeah, that's like tragic. You know, he had a good career or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's like Steve Seagal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the same movie
fucking
where he
shit.
kicks people on a boat.
All of his
30
movies
times.
are
Yeah.
half star, like awful.
Yeah.
Like constantly, yeah. And you know, like Liam Neeson, he's not as bad, but I've been watching some of his movies recently.
They're not.
They're almost that level. Like he's definitely getting there. He better stop. Like
He's
making movies.
yeah.
Yeah, the action
towing the
movies
line.
he's in. Like I'm watching. He's an Honest Thief is one of them.
Yeah.
Jai Courtney. And,
Yeah.
I forgot. I think it's like Robert Patrick. I think he's in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Terminator 2. Yeah,
I'm out of loop on the Liam Neeson,
Liam Neeson,
cinematic
yeah, it was like-
universe.
such a train wreck of a movie. Oh my god. Yeah, like all the action movies he makes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Crimes of the Future. I feel like there's only so much we can say about it. I feel like.
Yeah.
I wish there was more.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we ended up talking about Liam Neeson. But, I mean, what do you guys... I also really like the score. I'll say that. I think this, especially in the first kind of surgery sex scene, whatever you want to call it, when she's like pushing the thing and he's performing. I'm like, that's a great scene. But yeah, I guess I do wish there was more to this movie. At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the world building, like when in the experience of watching it, you know, is one thing. But I think I'm gonna immediately forget this film in like a week.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like I don't
Like,
remember
Yeah,
the
it's
story.
like the
I didn't attach
original-
myself to anything in it. Like
Yeah,
the
it's like the
characters are
original Tron.
intentionally weird.
where the world
Yeah.
building is like insane, but the actual film is about like nothing.
Yeah. I would argue the film is about a lot, but it does not say any of it
Right.
like effectively. Not any of it, but
It's not about nothing. It's just about nothing that I care about.
yeah. That's
It's hard to care. Like I don't like
Yeah.
these characters. They're such weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they killed a kid, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the film with the earliest smothering a kid with a pillow scene of any film
Yeah.
ever made.
What are we usually we do a star rating,
Oh yeah.
Ralph, out of 5?
I don't
mean,
know.
what are you feeling?
There were two people like behind me. They were like, I think they were fucking, but they were like making out. They were really loud. It was like so distracting. So like halfway through the movie, I had to get up and like go to the front and like and like sit in the front and watch the movie there.
That's so
That's weird.
wild.
It is weird.
Well,
it's like
what a
don't you
weird
know-
film
Why
to
do you go to
make
like a
out to.
public theater like to like have sex or whatever, like make out?
I-
Like,
But
Like,
also during
don't-
this film.
yeah, it's such a fucking weird movie. Whatever.
Yeah.
People are
Like, oh
weird.
yes, that guy's lips are sewn shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was like a normal theater, like an AMC. I saw this at.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
that would happen in like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, Alamo
Damn.
Draft House.
Yeah.
I don't like. I got more out of that than the movie. That's the most memorable thing about it.
Yeah.
It was
Cool.
fine. It's like I give it.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10 or like 3 out of 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's out of star
Great.
rating. Do you do out of 5
Yeah.
or 4 stars?
Out of
We do it out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's just
Yeah,
'cause
like
Carson's
Letterboxd,
the big
yeah.
letterbox guy.
Yeah,
It's the
3
all-
out of 5.
Yeah.
It's a 3-star movie. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm between like a 3.5, 4. I probably like it the most out of this group.
Yeah.
And
I was at like
that's-
2.5.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Jeff, I'm not surprised at that.
Yeah.
I did not think you would like the movie. Great. Well, we
That's cool.
have a brief Q&A.
Mhm.
People like on our subreddit, Discord, wherever they come from. If we should just get into it.
Yeah.
This first one comes from Caroline 0117, and it's thoughts on the new Joker movie being a musical starring Lady Gaga.
Those are my
Which-
thoughts. Laughing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm more excited about this than I was the first Joker, I'm like, that will be, I don't know if it's going to be good. It might be dog shit, but I'm definitely
It's
like
intriguing,
excited to
though.
watch
It's
that.
intriguing.
It's Todd Phillips again directing.
Wait, what? My
Joker
audio.
2.
Yeah, Joker 2.
He's directing. He's
Is it
directing it. Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Directing? Okay.
Oh man,
And it's
a musical
forget what-
directed by Todd Phillips,
yeah,
Lady
starring
Gaga, and Phoenix is back.
yeah. He's which
I
I'm like,
don't
I'm
know.
surprised Joaquin Phoenix would come back and agree to do this. But yeah,
That's
I'm
Joker
excited
2.
for the press tour because Lady Gaga kind of gets carried away with the press every time she's in a movie because
Oh,
it just seems like her thing, and I feel like this will be a very funny press tour.
yeah. Is she gonna be Harley Quinn? Is that?
She's Harley Quinn.
Oh my God! Wow,
So
that's gonna be really funny.
something to look forward to.
Yeah, I can't wait
Um,
to see it.
No. Those
Oh,
are.
man.
That's the thing. That's kind of all we can say right now. is
Yeah, like I don't know much about it. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited for the next Aquaman also,
yeah.
and the next Flash, the Flash movie.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my
What's gonna happen with
god.
that? Every day I hear about them.
Yep. He's
They're
like.
mad.
Yeah.
They're
I saw
mad.
a joke today that was like Ezra Miller has like hijacked a plane and is on his way to like the Pentagon or something. Like, it's like every day it gets a little crazier what he's doing.
Unrelated to that, though, I want to see a Flash movie made with all practical effects, where like everyone who's not the Flash has to like move really, really slowly so they can just speed up the footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're running away
It's
from
gonna be my new
Ezra
film.
Miller in slow motion.
Yep, the
Yeah.
practical
Yeah.
Flash.
Now, Ralph, I am curious on like how you feel about the Barbie movie stuff coming out. If you're,
Oh yeah, I saw this
You-
still just now of like Ryan Gosling
yeah,
like as Ken,
Mhm.
and I showed my dad. 'Cause I'm like, what do you think of this, Dad?
immediately
So,
go to
like,
your
a
dad
pink-
about it.
It's
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, an old pink or whatever. He said
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling looks too old. I'm like, yeah, I agree.
He does.
He looks
He
too
does
old.
look too old. Yeah.
He's like in his 40s. You know, he should have been someone slightly younger.
He looks exactly like his character in A Place Beyond the Pines, which is crazy. But he's just
Yeah,
like
it's
in
just in
Barbie
pink.
mode.
Yeah.
It's just pink.
With the blonde hair, yeah.
Yeah.
Because his character in that, yeah, like the blonde or like
Yeah.
the bleached hair or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
totally.
right.
I feel like it should have been Karsten.
It should. Yeah, we should all been Ken.
For Ken.
Yeah, I'm. It looks crazy.
Greta Gerwig directed. Yeah,
yep.
sure. I mean, I'm not really the demographic for that, but I'll see it.
Totally.
Because the people involved, like, there's a lot of talented people involved.
Right.
That make
Right.
me interested in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really.
Her like inspiration. Someone found like the list of like films inspired by, or that inspired it, and it's like Umbrellas of Cherbourg and like a bunch of these like French New Wave movie and like I think La La Land. Like they're trying to do what La La Land was doing. So I'm like, you know what? I'll see it. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
uh,
We'll see.
yeah.
Yeah.
This next one comes from Belly, and it is, what are movie tropes you dread seeing? Let me think.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know.
Let me think.
I feel like
I mean, you could go like the racist ones, like the white savior thing. Like
you hate to see.
You don't like to see that.
Yeah, it's just the white savior, and just like, yeah, that's a boring character.
Mm-hmm.
The white savior, like that guy in Avatar, the main character is so boring, because he's kind of the white savior in that movie. He kind of is.
Right.
He becomes a Navi, but
Yeah.
he's the blue savior at the end, because he becomes one of them. Yeah, he's just that's a boring character. It's a boring arc because it's been done a million times.
Mm-hmm.
How psyched are you for the new Avatar?
I don't know. I mean,
Are they still going to be in 3D?
I think I'd assume so. It's not as
Yeah.
exciting
Nothing's
as
in
it
3D
used to
anymore.
be, but
there's not as much novelty to it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. It could be good. The visual effects are pretty good. Seems like there's an improvement. That's all I
Yeah.
can say about it. It's just like the effects. I'm like, the
Yeah.
effects were impressive in that trailer. Like, it looked really good. I'll say
Yeah.
that. Like, the trailer's in 1080p, which is weird on YouTube.
Yeah.
That is weird.
True. Yeah.
Could have been in
really
4K.
weird.
Yeah, because I think I uploaded something to YouTube in 4K, or some of
Yeah.
my videos and some of my movies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's better to do that. Like, even if it's like a 1080p
Yeah, because it
file,
compresses
because it's
it
like
less.
a little less. Yeah, it's less compressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause YouTube compresses the shit out of things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like really bad how bad YouTube compresses. the
Especially
shit
with
out of
dark
everything.
backgrounds, it's like there's so much banding
Yeah.
with YouTube's
Yeah.
compression.
Yeah, so upload it in as high quality as you can, even if it's like 1080. It'll probably
Yeah.
reduce that a little bit.
Yeah. Quick side rant. I hate how much Netflix compresses a lot of their stuff. It looks like noticeably worse than every other streaming platform, and I
Yeah.
don't get why. I'm like, because they have like some of the best looking movies. They had like Roma. They have this new like blonde movie, the Marilyn Monroe one, that looks gorgeous, and I'm like, it sucks. It's just
Yeah.
gonna get compressed
And-
to
Yeah.
shit on Netflix.
Carson, you have an amazing OLED TV, so you.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even, match with that.
Yeah, so you know what's good or what's not good.
It's just a shame. Yeah, it's annoying.
I wish there was more pressure put on like these film companies, like on the resolution, on like the quality of these
Yeah.
things. I feel like it's kind of like hit a point where it's like bottomed out or like stagnated. Like, this is about as good as the quality you can get.
Yeah,
Like, at this
yeah.
point, I don't feel that way. Like
Yeah.
Blu-rays look much better than
Mm-hmm.
streaming. Like, I hate watching things on streaming because I just feel like the quality
It's
is so much
compressed
worse.
and-
right.
Yeah,
There's
That's-
usually lag, or like the quality will go down and up.
yeah,
It's just based on your internet. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much better just on a physical disc, or they really need to improve it. Like, if they
Yeah.
make it much better, then fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it's noticeably worse.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
And like the Eternals movie, like I watched that on Disney Plus. It's dark as shit, that movie. Like,
Yeah.
you can't see anything. It's like, why are you making a movie dark if you can't even watch it on your streaming
Right.
platform? Yeah.
I've avoided that movie. So, and I like Chloe Zhao. I liked Nomadland,
weird,
but
yeah.
like, there's something about that movie. I'm like, that looks like the most boring thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
It was weird they were marketing it around her, like it was one of her films, like from
Yeah.
the director of Nomadland, and
Yeah, Best
comes
Picture
this
winner.
Marvel film. It has like its own, like an Oscar bait kind of quality to it in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I didn't like that
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, it's kind of pretentious actually. Like,
Yeah.
that was kind of pretentious movie.
Yeah,
Eternals. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you like Marvel stuff usually?
I had it like, they had me for a little bit there. Like, I had fun with the Avengers, like Endgame and Infinity War. I was like, sure, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
And, Guardians of the Galaxy, I really have not watched a lot of recent Marvel stuff just because, I like, the Spider-Man movies are fun. They're cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They're
That's
fun.
but like they've strayed so far off like being movies, and
It's like
they are like comic book
cultural-
movies. It's like
Yeah,
you need to catch up with like
that's-
five
that's
different
the
movies
issue,
to
is that I gave
understand
up.
one.
so long ago where I was like the first, ones like the Iron Mans and the first couple Captain Americas. I watched them all, but then all these ones were released where you had to watch the other ones in like the scenes after the credits to understand what's happening.
Yeah, the credits thing.
I'm like,
and then like Morbius comes out. It's like, is Morbius connected to any of this? Like, but no, it isn't.
It's like,
just
what,
like Sony
where did
being
he
jerks.
get his
Just
doctorate
Morbius.
from?
It's just its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did you like the new Doctor Strange, Ralph?
I did. That was good. That's a Sam Raimi film, so yeah, it was good. Yeah,
I
it had
would
a
say
little
just for that
personality.
reason.
A lot of them lack kind of personality and like good cinematography. That one had it. That one looked good. Really strong.
Do we
visuals.
know
Yeah.
what Doctor Strange, what his degree, like his doctorate is in?
I think they showed it in the first one.
Yeah, he's
like a surgeon or something.
A surgeon, yeah.
And then what's Dr. Morbius?
Dr. Michael Morbius.
Yeah, what's
He was like a blood doctor. Or
Dr.
something.
Eminem. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of doctors in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor's gone wrong. That's what it's all about.
I love how Morbius will like forever be part of like the MCU now. Even
I
though he
know,
really
yeah.
isn't.
We'll come
People
back in the
always
next.
talk about it in conjunction. The scientists of the MCU, Tony Stark,
Yeah.
and Dr. Michael Morbius.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sweet. Well, didn't really answer the trope question, but it's I don't really know how to.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say like
Question. Oh shit.
whatever. I saw Jurassic World Dominion recently, and pretty much everything that movie did was a bad movie trope. Like it was. It's like the
That
kind
looked
where
really bad.
it's like three groups of like two people split up, and the movie is basically like cutting back and forth between those groups the whole time, and then at the end everybody comes together. And that's just, I don't know if that's a trope, but I'm just like, it's a type of movie that I really am tired of watching, and didn't like that movie that much.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the Jurassic Park movies
Yeah.
anymore.
They really went off the deep end. Well, I think that does it for questions. And that probably does it for the podcast. Ralph, thanks so much for being on.
Ralph, do you have any things you want to plug?
Yeah.
I'm working on a film that should be out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you
Yeah.
had any stuff in the can.
I'm making a film. Yeah. I released a poster for it on Instagram, and I'm still writing it, but it's almost done. Like it's basically done. I'm
okay.
like casting now.
That's
So,
super exciting. Damn.
Yeah.
Is it a
should be
feature or a short?
fun.
Or?
I think it'll be a short. It's
Cool.
probably it's a short, but
Damn.
and I might just put it out on YouTube. I might just do that.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
like Ralph the Movie Maker presents
yeah.
this movie. So to avoid like what you were saying about the festival thing, it's very it's a very long process. I want to make a film in that for sure,
Yeah.
but I want to make a movie that's also successful on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the exposure that you get from YouTube when you have a certain amount of like, following is higher than doing the festival tour. It's just, maybe certain people won't see it. But.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
a certain kind of audience, so you need to
Yeah.
make a certain kind of movie, I feel.
Yep.
And I want to make a movie that's good for like that audience, and I think I did that. It's a funny, like I write a lot, and like this is like an idea I actually was like, this is interesting. Like I feel like people would actually like it,
That's great.
which is
The least you could ask for, yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
Great. Well, congratulations. Good luck with the film.
Thank you.
Thanks
And
for
good
being
luck
on.
with your podcast. Yeah, it was a
course,
pleasure.
yeah.
Pleasure being on and meeting
Great.
you.
Yep, nice
and,
meeting
and
you.
you too, Jeff.
And that was Ralph the Movie Maker on the podcast. This is just me. Jeff is not here with me right now, but I wanted to do the wrap up because we always do the wrap up because that's what the podcast is all about, is consistency. So let's start with announcing next week's movie, which is going to be Elvis. Jeff and I are going to talk about Elvis. I think Jeff is also going to do a solo review of Jerry and Marge Go Large. But the main movie is going to be Elvis. I also want to say that if you asked a question on the Patreon for Ralph and we didn't answer it, it's because it got in after the fact. Like we recorded it before you asked the question, and I'm very sorry about that. But yes, Elvis next week. It's going to be great. And next up, we like to read a review because we love to hear what you guys have to say about the podcast. Let me pull it up on chart. I don't know why I didn't have this pulled up already. Yeah, these are there's still no new reviews. Damn. Okay. Well, you guys should leave reviews. Anyway, thanks guys. The next part is we like to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/carscast. If you want to support the podcast and you're like, I clearly don't have the energy to leave a review, you should become a patron over at patreon.com/carscast, where you can get exclusive bonus episodes, Q&As, shout-outs at the end of every episode, which I'm about to do, and Zoom Hangouts once a month. It's a great place to support us and a great place to get exclusive Carscast content that you can't get anywhere else. If you truly can't get enough of us, this is the best place to go, because there is like a whole nother podcast going on over there in the bonus episodes that we do twice a month. I seriously cannot. If I was a fan of this podcast, I would be a patron. You know what I mean? That just seems like the logical move. So thank you, Alex Thomas, Anson Contreras, Belly, Big Beard Pirate, Camilla Coop, David Borslow, David Sir, Eden Finn Richardson, Goodnight Tail, Jacob Meyer, Jeffrey Borslow, John Van Hout, Joshua Hughes, KDT, Let's Change the Google search results for PTA, Leah Butriago, Ramirez Tamayo, Levin, GeoGuessr Noob, Liv Rob, Lukewarm, Maddie Robertson, Martin Def, Marilee Borslow, Maxine Schmidt, Meridian, Michael Monroe Page, Owen Felton, Pasta, Portrait Don Tutino Onfu, Queen of Staten Island, Quentin Martini, Riley Ost, Ryan M, Sean Kenny, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilistic, XBL, Smitty, Warren Jagerman, Jensen, Taylor Hartz to watch the movie 10 Billion, The Raccoon from Airbud, 7th Inning, Fetch, Wes Kinley, Wiley Todd, Yusef A. Zoinks, and Zoe Hernandez McDonald. And that is the Patreon. Thank you so much, everybody. As usual, I think I'm going to get out of here now. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Thanks again to Ralph for being on. If you guys didn't already know, he has a YouTube channel that you should check out called Ralph the Movie Maker, and he's on a podcast called Sardonicast with YMS and I Hate Everything. You should check all of it out. Anyway, I think that's going to be it. Catch you on the flip side.